E.N.D here. If you want to rule over Middle-earth with your iron fist and the One Ring, you need an army, an orc army. And the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth has the perfect mechanic to build your own orc army, Amass Orcs. Amass is a keyword action introduced back in War of the Spark that creates and grows your army. In the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth, Amass is tied to the orc hosts of Mordor and Isengard. The mechanic was reworked to allow different creature types to be amassed. As you amass, if you don't already control an army creature, you create a 0/0 black army creature token. Then put a number of +1/+1 counters on your army equal to the number after amass. If you do control an army, you don't create a new token. Rather, you will put those +1/+1 counters on your army. In both cases, the army that you amass then becomes the creature type after amass in addition to its other types. But how do you play Amass Orcs? Let's build our battlefield and cast Swarming of Moria for 2 and 1 red. Sorcery, create a treasure token, Amass Orcs 2. Swarming of Moria is a normal sorcery, therefore when casted, it will go on the stack. There can be a counter, there can be a response, nothing happens and it will resolve. When Swarming of Moria resolves, I will create a treasure token and I will amass Orcs 2. Because I still don't control an army, I will create my 0/0 Black Orcs army and I will put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. My orc army now it's a 2/2, quite small for the time being. Now I'm going to cast His Highness, the true Lord of the Rings, the Master of the One Ring, the ruler of all. Sauron, Lord of the Rings, 5/1 blue, 1 black and 1 red. It's a 9/9. When you cast the spell Amass Orcs 5, mill 5 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Trample, whenever a commander and opponent control dies, the ring tempts you. Even though Sauron is a very powerful creature, when casted, he has to go on the stack. And his Amass Orcs 5 ability will trigger. Sauron doesn't need to hit the battlefield for his Amass Orcs 5 ability to trigger. He needs to be just casted. Once Sauron Amass Orcs 5 ability resolves, because I already control an army, my 2/2 orc army, I will not create a new army, but I will add 5 +1/+1 counters on my army. Now my orc army is a 7/7 and I'm ready to conquer Gondor. Some notes. Amass was designed so a player would control one army at any given time, but there are several ways to create multiple armies. You can copy an army control a creature with changeling, or modify the creature type using artificial evolution. It's possible to control a non-token army, set a creature with changeling, and through a combinations of other cards, it's possible to control multiple army tokens. When instructed to amass, you may put the +1/+1 counters on any of your army creatures, and you may choose a different one each time. If you don't control an army, the army token that you create enters the battlefield as a 0/0 creature. Any abilities that trigger when a creature with a certain power enters the battlefield, such as that of Mentor of the Meek, will see the token enter as a 0/0 creature before it gets the +1/+1 counters. Although players can respond to the spell or ability that instructs you to amass, once you start to amass, no one can interrupt you. This is true even if you're creating a new army. No player can do anything while the army creature token is still 0/0 before it gets the counters. Even though the +1/+1 counters represent the growing numbers of combatants joining your ranks, the army creature token is still a single creature. It has at least 2 creature types, army and the type specified on the card, that is zombie or orc. Some spells that amass may require targets. If each target chosen is an illegal target, as the spell tries to resolve, it doesn't resolve. You want amass. Some cards that cost you to amass also provide bonuses to zombie or orc tokens. These affect any token that happens to be a zombie or orc, not just the zombie and orc army you've amassed. Combining all their amass cards with ones from this set, The Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth, makes for some fun stories. If you amass zombies, you create a zombie army creature token with some +1/+1 counters on it. If you later amass orcs, that zombie army becomes an orc zombie army and gets even more +1/+1 counters. So, this is how you play Amass Orcs. Leave me a comment. What do you think about this returning mechanic in The Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth? And here's the subscription button. Subscribe for my channel for more and more interesting videos about Magic the Gathering and the collectible world.